Another so-called religious liberties bill is making headlines tonight. This time it's a veto from the governor of Georgia. The bill would have let companies in Georgia deny services to members of the LGBT community. But the state has faced pressure from the entertainment industry. Companies including Netflix, Disney, and AMC threatened to boycott working in the state of Georgia. That would have a huge economic loss for the state. Let's turn now to Reverend Barry Lynn, Executive Director of Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. Reverend, good to have you with us tonight.
Nice to be back.
Cynics would say this would be a decision of business and not one of heart. What is it?
I would say there's a lot of business, but there is a little heart. I was pleasantly surprised that the governor actually talked about how in the state of Georgia, people who live there are decent people and they don't believe in discrimination. And he said, religious people in Georgia do not need legislation because, after all, they have the Constitution and they have the will of God. So it's a little mixed, I'd say.
But let's just say that he did not veto this bill. And that would be an image killer moving forward, would it not, for the state?
No, it would be
he had to be thinking
thing.
About the future years.
Absolutely. Even Mike Pence, who appears in the last segment, he was a guy who's got all this pressure. He changed their religious freedom bill a little bit, not very much, but then he got heralded for doing something good. But the governor in Georgia, I think, really did something good because this was been a disaster. This would have opened up all kinds of discrimination against not only the LGBT community, but also, in the long run, women and others.
Well, where does it end? If
If
this goes through, who's behind this? Is there a group in our super PAC world that is pushing this kind of stuff?
Well, it's something that Alec likes are these bills, but they also they had to worry about the effect that business will have on them because there are a lot of businesses related to that organization. So I think what the real push is, this looks like legislation that you can't be against. It's religious freedom. We're all in favor of religious freedom, and they lie about this. They always say, well, this is the same piece of legislation that Ted Kennedy introduced and Bill Clinton signed. That's a total lie. These religious freedom bills were intended, and I worked years on this bill in the federal government. This was to help people like the Muslim prisoner who has a quarter-inch beard, and the government says, you can't have that because you could hide weapons in that beard. Now, I don't think you can hide weapons in the Duck Dynasty guy's beard.
Pretty outrageous we're talking about this in 2016.
No, it is. It's absurd. And the other thing is, sometimes people on our side of the fence get a little lost in some of the details. This is about trying to find ways to hurt the LGBT community. I was having a debate a few months ago with a law school dean at Liberty University, who said that the decision in the marriage equality case last June by the Supreme Court was the beginning of the end of Western civilization. Now, when you believe that, you got to do anything. It's kind of like the case before the Supreme Court last year, or last week, involving contraceptive coverage for in insurance plans. This is really about the fact that most of these plaintiffs wanted to stop contraception. We've had it 50 years. It's been legalized, according to the Supreme Court, for married couples, for unmarried couples. They don't like it. So they're going to find any nitpicky way to try to do away with it.
All right. Reverend Barry Lynn, thanks for coming in tonight. Appreciate it so much. Turning to the environment, the colorful reds, orange, and blues of the